أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الذين استجابوا لله والرسول من بعد ما أصابهم القرح للذين أحسنوا منهم واتقوا أجر عظيم الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل فانقلبوا بنعمة من الله وفضل لم يمسسهم سوء واتبعوا رضوان الله والله ذو فضل عظيم إنما ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياءه فلا تخافوهم وخافون إن كنتم مؤمنين ولا يحزنك الذين يسارعون في الكفر إنهم لن يضروا الله شيئا يريد الله ألا يجعل لهم حظا في الآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم إن الذين اشتروا الكفر بالإيمان لن يضروا الله شيئا ولهم عذاب أليم ولا يحسبن الذين كفروا أنما نملي لهم خير لأنفسهم إنما نملي لهم ليزدادوا إثما ولهم عذاب مهين صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم نحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. So the previous ayat talked about Uhud, the fight, that the battle of Uhud, and this is going to talk about another small ghazwa that was connected with Uhud, which is called Ghazwa Hamra al-Asad. So what happened is that after Uhud, as we know, Abu Sufyan was the leader of the Kuffar and they turned back without finishing off Muslims. They reached a point on their way to Makkah where they realized that in their journey they realized that they had made a folly. They could have gone and made a final assault and finished off the Muslim government in Medina. So at that point they started thinking of returning. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created an awe in their heart. They started to become afraid and kept on going towards Makkah. But there was a traveling group, there was a caravan that was headed to Medina in that way. So they told that caravan to tell the Muslims that the disbelievers are coming for them, just to create an awe and fear in the hearts of Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet ﷺ about this, and it had only been 2 days since the Muslims had come back. The Prophet ﷺ, it had been 2 days in Uhud. After the fight, the Prophet ﷺ asked the Sahaba, called them, that who is going to accompany me to follow the Kuffar. The state of the Muslims was that they had been, for the past 2 days, they had been burying their martyrs, and most of them were severely wounded. Even the Prophet ﷺ himself was very wounded. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had asked the Prophet ﷺ, told him, and the Prophet ﷺ decided to go after the Kuffar. The other thing that peculiar about this was that the Prophet ﷺ said that we are going to follow the Kuffar, pursue the Kuffar. And only those people can accompany me who stayed by my side in the fight of Uhud. So fresh people could not go. Only those people who had fought, and they were very wounded. It comes in hadith that some of them were barely able to stand up actually. They needed help. They had to lean against each other to walk. And in that state, the Prophet ﷺ asked who's going to go with me to Hamra al-Asad and to in pursuit of Kuffar. So these are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. الَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِلَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ, those who responded to the call of Allah and the Messenger. Here, although it is not clearly mentioned that it was the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the Prophet, it is only said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the plans of Kuffar. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam decided on his own to go after the Kuffar in this state. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling it a call of Allah and Rasul. So from this, the ignorant people, the people who want to create fitna among the ummah, who want to say that the role of the Prophet ﷺ is only merely that of a messenger conveying the word of Allah, it should be learned very clearly that the word of the Prophet ﷺ is the word of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the command of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the call of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the call of Allah Himself. الَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِلَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ مِن بَعْدِ مَا أَصَابَهُمُ الْقَرْحُ, even after they had received the wound. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا مِنْهُمْ وَاتَّقَوْا أَجْرٌ عَظِيمٌ, and for those of them who did good deeds and feared Allah, there is a great reward. So this group of Sahaba, these are such that they are not only physically and in the outer sense, in the visible sense, responding to the call of Allah, and in this such terrible state they are willing to go after the kuffar upon the call of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but these are people who have ihsan and taqwa within them, and as a result of this ihsan and taqwa, they are responding to the call of Allah and Rasul. From this, Hazrat Mufassirin have mentioned a few other points. Number one is that complete obedience, especially obedience in times of hardship, comes from internal purification. If you are not pure internally, if you have not worked on your inner self, then there is no way you may, for a little while, force yourself to follow the apparent teachings and the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but when the test comes, when hardship comes, you will not be able to follow it. For this reason, Hazrat Mashayikh say that as the world is going towards its end, and as things are going to become more and more ambiguous, and as following the Islam is going to become more and more difficult, working on your batin is becoming more and more important. Because if you do not have a clear batin, if you have not worked on your batin in your heart, then it will be very hard for you or for anyone to follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay on the state truly on Iman. So these people had ihsan and taqwa, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising them ajrun azim, great reward. What is ihsan? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned it. An ta'budillah ka'annaka tarah, fa in lam takun tarah innahu yarak. You become a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such a way 24/7 that as if you are seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because even if you don't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is always seeing you. And taqwa has been defined by Hazrat Ubay ibn Ka'ab upon the question of Umar radiallahu anh, that he said, what is taqwa? Hazrat Ubay ibn Ka'ab said that, have you ever traveled on a path which is full of thorns? He said, yes, when I used to take camels for grazing, at that time I had to traverse such lands where there was a lot of thorns. He said, how did you pass those lands? He said, I pulled my clothes together and very carefully treaded that path. Hazrat Ubay ibn Ka'ab said, this is taqwa, that you be very careful about sinning, and you not only not commit a sin, but pull your clothes together, pull yourself together, hold yourself together, and be very careful not to even go near the harmful sins, the sins that are harmful. And all sins are harmful, of course. الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسُ إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ. So what happened is that when these Sahaba who had gone to Hamra al-Asad were on their way, the traveling group that the kuffar had sent to tell the Muslims that they are coming, they told the Muslims that kuffar are coming, the disbelievers are coming, Abu Sufyan is coming back with a great army. فَخْشَوْهُمْ, so be afraid, so fear them. فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا, instead of being afraid, it increased them furthermore in their iman. And this is the state of people who have ihsan and taqwa, the people who have purified their batin, the people who had entered Islam and had made bay'at on the hands of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They knew full well what they were entering. They knew from day one that they will have to face a lot of opposition, every sort, every kind, every level of opposition. And these things, when these kind of things came to them, certain challenges came to them, it did not make them afraid, but it increased them in their iman. And what did they say? They cried out, قَالُوا حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. We rely on Allah, and He is the best. He is the best one in whom one could place their trust. So these people were such. This sentence, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, Hazrat ulama have said, Hazrat Mashayikh have said that this is great wazifa. If you recite it 1,000 times in days of difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the difficulty away through His mercy. But it should be remembered that some people abuse this by saying that Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, we will rely upon Allah and He is the best one to place your trust in. So we'll rely and place our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do nothing of our own. We should know fully well that what was the Prophet ﷺ doing at that time? When he got the news through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the kuffar are coming, what did he do? He called the Sahaba to go out for a fight. He did not stay in Medina and say, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, we rely on Allah and nothing is going to happen to us. No. He used the physical means. Whatever strength the Muslims could show, he did it. So this is established from hadith that tawakkul or reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is after and before using the means, but the means are a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to not use the means is basically kufran and ni'mat, is basically denying the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it comes in narration that there was two people who had some issue between them, and was brought before the Prophet ﷺ to decide. The Prophet ﷺ decided in favor of one person and in the opposition to other person, and that person against whom it was decided, he gladly accepted it and said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. As he was Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. As he was getting up, he said Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil and went away happily. The Prophet ﷺ called after him, sent the Sahaba and told him to come back. When he came back, the Prophet ﷺ said that it is not Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. It does not mean that you do not do nothing and you sit at your home and say Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. No. Tawakkul includes adopting the means. فانقلبوا بنعمة من الله وفضل لم يمسسهم سوء واتبعوا رضوان الله والله ذو فضل عظيم. So these people, these Sahaba who were going to Hamra al-Asad with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because of when they showed this resolve, even though it was very hard upon them, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returned them. فانقلبوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it so happened that they returned with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَفَضْلٍ لَمْ يَمْسَسْهُمْ سُوءٌ. So what happened? They went to Hamra al-Asad. They did not have to face the enemy because the enemy had gone away. What happened was that there was another man who was traveling from Medina towards Makkah. So he was not a Muslim, but he was part of a clan, Bani Khaza'ah, which were allies of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he heard about Abu Sufyan returning, he told Abu Sufyan that you are making a folly. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is coming with a huge, well-prepared army to follow you guys, to pursue you guys. So he told them such, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the whatever intention they were making of coming back, they became really afraid and started to run away. Anyway, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first they did not have to face the enemy, did not have to fight anymore. Second, at the place of Hamra al-Asad, there was a market which they did trade in. So they actually got benefit in there. بِنِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning. فَانْقَلَبُوا بِنِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَفَضْلٍ لَمْ يَمْسَسْهُمْ سُوءٌ. They were not bothered. They did not have to fight. They did not have to, they did not face any evil or any hardship. وَاتَّبَعُوا رِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ. And they basically, they did it for they did ittiba' of Ridwan Allah. They submitted to the pleasure of Allah. Wallahu dhu fadlin azim. And Allah is the Lord of great bounty. Inshallah, we'll do the other ayat tomorrow. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursalin. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم اجعلنا من أهل القرآن الذي أهلك وخاصتك. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين.